Hello students, today's session is Rural Life and Society History Unit 3. Indian economy was an agrarian economy. Agriculture was then the primary occupation of the people. British government introduced three major land revenue and tenurial systems in India, namely the permanent settlement, the Mahalwari system and the Rayatwari system. When Robert Clive obtained the Diwani of Bengal, Bihar, and Orissa in 1765, there used to be an annual settlement. During the time of Cornwallis, a 10-year settlement was introduced in 1793 and it was known as permanent settlement. Permanent settlements were made in Bengal, Bihar, Orissa, Varanasi division of UP, and northern Karnataka. It was known by different names like Zamindari, Jagirdari, Malguzari, and Biswedari. The salient features of the permanent settlement. The Zamindars were recognized as the owners of land as long as they paid the revenue to the East India Company regularly. The Zamindars acted as the agent of the government for the collection of revenue from the cultivators. They had to pay to the company firmly fixed and would not be raised under any circumstances. They gave 10 by 11 of the revenue collected by them from the cultivator to the government, and the zamindars would grant patta to the ryots. The ryots became tenants since they were considered the tillers of the soil. All judicial powers were taken away from the zamindars. The merits of the system. Under the system, many of the wastelands and forests became cultivable lands. The zamindars became the owners of the land. The zamindars were made free from the responsibility of providing justice. The zamindars remained faithful to the British government and fixed a stable income for the British government. The demerits. The British government had no direct contact with the cultivators and the rights of the cultivators were ignored. The peasants were almost treated as slaves. This system was made the zamindars the lethargic and luxurious, and many conflicts between the zamindars and the peasants arose in rural Bengal. The Rayatwari system was introduced by Thomas Munro and Captain Reed in 1820. Major areas of Rayatwari system included Madras, Bombay, parts of Assam and Coorg provinces of British India. By Rayatwari system, the rights of the ownership was handed over to the peasants. The peasants were the farmers. British government collected one half of the estimated produce, and this assessment was reduced to 1/3 by Thomas Munro. The revenue was based on the basis of the soil and the nature of the crop, and the rents would be periodically revised after 20 to 30 years. The salient features of the Rayatwari system. Revenue settlement was done directly with the ryots. Measurement of field and an estimate of produce was calculated. Government fixed the demand at 45 to 55% of the produce. Effects of the Rayatwari system. In most areas, the land revenue fixed was excessive, and the ryots were hardly left with bare maintenance of their season. Under this system, the government exploited the farmers instead of zamindars. Mahalwari system, a brainchild of Holt Mackenzie, was modified with the zamindari settlement. It was introduced in Ganga Valley, Northwest Province, parts of central India and Punjab. Lord William Bentinck was to suggest radical changes in the Mahalwari system. Assessment of revenue was made on the basis of a produce of a mahal or village. All the proprietors of the mahal were severely responsible and jointly responsible for the payment of revenue. Initially, the state share was fixed 2/3 of the gross produce, and Bentinck reduced to 50%. The village as a whole, through its headman or lambadar, was required to pay the revenue. The salient features of the Mahaldari system. The lambadar acted as intermediaries between the government and the villages. It was a village-wise assessment. One person can hold a number of villages, and village community was the owner of the village. The village land belonged to the village community, and the effects of the system. The lambadar enjoyed privileges which were misused for his interest. The system brought no benefit to the cultivators and it was a modified version of the zamindari system. The impact of the British land revenue system on the cultivators. A common feature of all the settlements was the assessment and maximize income from land, and it resulted in increasing land sales and disposition. The peasants were overburdened with taxation. The people suffered in poverty and burdened with debts. The zamindars, moneylenders, and lawyers exploited the poor peasants. The stability and continuity of the Indian village was shaken. Cotton industries disappeared on account of import of British goods. The whole body of custom replaced by new apparatus of law and court. The British policy proved advantageous only to the privileged section. The British rule in India brought about many changes and the life of the peasants was extremely miserable. So various peasant movements and uprisings and revolt during the 19th and 20th centuries prevailed. The first revolt which can be regarded as peasant revolt was the Sandal rebellion in 1855-56. The land near the hills of Rajmahal in Bihar was cultivated by the Sandals. The landlords and money lenders from the cities took advantage of their ignorance and began grabbing their lands. Consequently, under the belief of a divine order, around 10,000 Sandals gathered under two Sandal brothers, Sidhu and Kanhu, to free their country of the foreign oppressors and set up a government of their own. The houses of the European planters, British officers, railway engineers, zamindars, and money lenders were attacked. The rebellion continued till February 1856 when the rebel leaders were captured. Next was the Indigo Revolt 1859-60. The Bengal indigo cultivator strike was the most widespread peasant uprisings. The European indigo planters compelled the tenant farmers to grow indigo as it was highly profitable. The tenant farmer was forced to sell it cheap to the planter and accepted advances from the planter that benefited the latter. There was also cases of kidnapping, looting, flogging and burning led by Digambar Biswas and Vishnu Charan Biswas. The riots of Nadia district gave up indigo cultivation in September 1859. Factories were burned down and the revolt spread. To take control of the situation, the government set up an indigo commission in 1860. The indigo planters of Bengal moved on to settle in Bihar and Uttar Pradesh. The Pabna Revolt 1873-76 was a resistance movement by the peasants against the zamindars. It originated in Yusuf Shahi Pargana of Pabna in Bengal, led by Keshav Chandra Roy. The zamindars collected money from the peasants from illegal means of forced levy. Large crowds of peasants gathered, marched through villages, frightening the zamindars and appealing to other peasants to join them. The main form of struggle was that of legal resistance, and only few cases of looting of the houses of the zamindars and few attacks on police stations. In the course of movement, the riots developed a strong awareness of the law and legal rights and formed peaceful agitation. Peasants revolted against the zamindars who were grabbing their lands. The Punjab Peasant Movement 1890-1900. The peasants of the Punjab agitated to prevent the rapid alienation of their lands to the urban moneylenders for failure to pay debts. In order to protect the peasants of the Punjab, the Punjab Land Alienation Act was passed in 1900. The act divided the population of the Punjab into three categories: the agricultural class, the statutory agricultural class, and the rest of population including moneylenders. Restrictions were imposed on the sale and mortgage of the land from the first category to the other two categories. Deccan Riots 1875. This resulted in the district of Pune. That event was called as Deccan Riots. The peasants revolted primarily against the oppression of money lenders. The uprising started from a village in Pune district when the village people forced out a local money lender from the village and captured his property. The uprising spread over 33 villages and the peasants looted the property of Marwari Sahukars. It was suppressed only when the army was called to control it. However, it resulted in the passing of the Deccan Agriculturalist Relief Act, which removed some of the most serious grievances of the peasants. Champaran Satyagraha 1917-18. Under the Tinkatiya system in Champaran, the peasants were bound by law to grow indigo on 3 by 20 part of their land and send the same to the British planters at prices fixed by them. Mahatma Gandhi took up their cause and appointed an inquiry commission of which Gandhi was a member. The grievances of the peasants were inquired and ultimately the Champaran Agrarian Act was passed in May 1918. Kheda Satyagraha 1918. In the Kheda district of Gujarat, due to constant famine, agriculture failed in 1918, but the officers insisted on collection of full land revenue. The local peasants therefore started a no-tax movement in Kheda district in 1918. Gandhi accepted the leadership of this movement and organized the peasants to offer satyagraha. He inspired the peasants to be fearless and face all consequences. The response to his call was a settlement with the peasants. Mopla Rebellion 1921. The Muslim Mopla peasants of Malabar was suppressed and exploited by the Hindu zamindars and the British government. The Mopla peasants got momentum from the Malabar District Conference held in April 1920. This conference supported the tenants' cause and demanded legislations for regulating landlord-tenant relations. In August 1921, the Mopla tenants rebelled against the oppressive zamindars. The Mopla peasants attacked police stations, offices, and houses of landlords and moneylenders. By December 1921, the government ruthlessly suppressed the Mopla rebellion. Bardoli Satyagraha 1929-1930. In 1928, the peasants of Bardoli, Gujarat started their agitation under the leadership of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel in protest against the government's proposal to increase land revenue by 30%. The peasants refused to pay tax at the enhanced rate and started no tax campaign from 12 February 1928. In 1930, the peasants of Bardoli refused to pay taxes. They faced the auction sales and eventual loss of almost all their lands, but refused to submit to the government. However, all the lands were returned to them when the Congress came to power in 1937. And with this, we come to the conclusion of this lesson, children. Hope you understood all the land revenue policies under the British rule. Revise well, children. Thank you.